Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Boost. Peekaboo. I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available in 2022, the album Dad AF. Rock on, Goldust Woman. Beast. How are you guys doing today? Well, we just got back from bowling. It was our friend's birthday, and so there were like 10 of us that went bowling today. I hadn't gone bowling in a very, very long time. 2 unknown facts that you might not know about Peter Monn. Number 1, I'm an excellent bowler. And number 2, I'm an excellent pool player. I know, I have my own stick and everything. So I know that's probably a surprise to some of you, but I did score the second highest score, okay? And the person that came in first place plays in a league. And I feel like I won overall because I got the cheese fries, and the cheese fries were delicious. So anyway, you have to get food at the bowling alley if you go. What's the midnight bowl called when they like turn off all the lights and it's like the balls are a neon and all that kind of stuff? I love that, the glow in the dark. Do you guys remember that back in the day? And they played the music real loud and all that kind of stuff. What is that called? Oh my God, something bowl, midnight bowl, or glow in the dark, blackout bowl, I think is what it's called. Anyway. So we came home and I was finishing up my Ferris Coffee Company Nitro Cold Brew Black Coffee, not sponsored, and I was thinking to myself, I might take a nap or I might make a video. And so a lot of people had sent me messages asking me to do a video talking about James Charles' most recent video where he allegedly, supposedly shades Jeffree Star. And I was like, does he really? I don't typically watch James Charles videos anymore unless somebody sends me something and I have to look at this, and she's so pretty. Unless I have to talk about it in a video. So I don't typically watch James Charles videos. So I went over to, and I have actually a lot to say about this video, okay? So I went over to this video, and the video is called Drunk, Truth, or Shot, featuring Amari and Mario, okay? And so it's James Charles, and then it's his friends in here, Amari, who most people know, Amari Stewart, who most people know via Tana Mojo, which I'm going to get into talking about that in just a second. And then the other person is this Mario Selman, who I had absolutely no idea who he is whatsoever. He's apparently a YouTuber, influencer. He has like millions of subscribers on YouTube. I had no idea who he is. He's like 22 years old. They're all around that age, 22 or 23 years old, right? So I started watching this, and basically what it is that they take a shot every time they don't want to answer a question, okay? And then they answer, like, these really supposedly provocative questions. And the questions are like, well, the question referring to Jeffree Star, which I'm going to get into in just a second, is who do you think needs to retire from YouTube, okay? And then there's other questions on there like, what work have you had done, like plastic surgery, things like that. There's questions about, like, what was like the most difficult collab you ever had, things like that. So they're all like those kind of questions. I actually, to be honest with you, I thought the questions were interesting questions, because typically when you watch these kind of like Q&As with these big influencers, you know, and they'll put in the title, it's like, they put some thumbnail like that, and then it's like answering the question everybody wants to know, and they don't even answer anything near there, you know what I mean, or something like that. So anyway, I started watching this video, and it is Amari and James Charles and this Mario, okay? And they're like making drinks and also doing shots out of a 5th of Grey Goose, okay? Which I think it's important because I'm going to talk about, y'all know, listen, if you're going to come over here, I've been sober for 27.5 years. If there's drinking in a video, I'm going to talk about it, okay? I'm just going to talk about my response to this, right? So they're doing shots and whatever, and it's supposed to be this really funny, haha, lighthearted video. I think there's kind of some darkness to it, honestly. So they're doing shots of Grey Goose, and by the end of the video is like 15 minutes long. I don't know how long it was to film. I don't know how long in real time they filmed this video, but they have finished this 5th of Grey Goose in the time that it took them, 3 of them, to film this video. And by the end of it, James Charles has to go to the bathroom, so he leaves and comes back, and he's so drunk he can hardly even walk to the bathroom and back, right? So I'm like, should I talk about the Jeffree Star stuff first, or should I talk about, well, I'll save my issues about the addiction stuff in a second. So the question is asked, who do you think needs to retire from YouTube? And I'm like ready for James Charles to say something. At this point, he's pretty drunk, and I'm expecting him to say Jeffree Star. Because so many people were like, did you hear that James shaded Jeffree Star in this video? So I'm like really waiting for James to shade Jeffree Star. And that's not what happens, okay? Mario says something like, Miss Jeffree Star, you know, I think she's been around long enough, or something like that. Says something kind of shady about Jeffree Star. And then they laugh. And then Amari says, not the answer you probably should have given on this channel, right? Something to that effect. Basically saying, like, James has had so many controversies with Jeffree Star in the past. Like, that's probably not a really great answer to give on James' channel, because it's going to bring him a lot of negative attention. James actually never says that Jeffree should retire. He says something on there like, isn't he making like hundreds of millions of dollars and he's living on a yak farm, and they show like a picture of Jeffree on like a yak or hanging out at a yak farm and whatever. That's kind of it, right? Like, that's kind of the end all of the shade that is sent to Jeffree Star. But what is interesting to me is that it is kind of this attitude, like you can see in this Mario, who seems rather pleasant in the video. He doesn't seem problematic or anything like that. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about him, right? The only thing I know about him is that he turned 22 in December, because I looked up his age, because he and Amari both look so young. And I don't know how old Amari is, but I wanted to see how old he was. Hold on a second. Amari Stewart age, because I wanted to know how old they were as far as doing this video. He's 23. So I think James is 23, Mario's 22, and James is 23, Amari is 23, and Mario is 22. Okay, so they're both like 22 and 23, which is the age that I got sober. I got sober at 22 and a half. So, that's the only reason that I knew who this Mario was, because I looked him up to see what his age was, because they both look so young, and I was like, they're doing this, like, binge drinking shot video. I mean, they're binge drinking, okay? It's shot after shot after shot after shot, and I'm not stupid. I know that kids in college, and kids this age, and kids in high school and everything, I know that they binge drink, okay? That doesn't make it right. It's not like, I also know that the TV show Euphoria, which I've watched every season of, is very, very real, you know? I worked in addictions for a long time. I myself am an addict and alcoholic in recovery. It's not like I'm a prude. I partied back in the day. I get it, right? That doesn't make it right, okay? And it doesn't make it definitely right when you should be, I feel like, a role model to the youth that have gotten you to where you're at today. I do, and I know that people don't like this when I say this, but I do feel like there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes along when you're that young and people are looking up to you, you know? And it's interesting because whenever I say that in videos, people are always like, James Charles is still growing as a young man, blah, blah, blah. Listen, nobody let me off the hook when I was 22 and a half going into 23, okay, getting sober. Nobody let me off the hook. You know, they just didn't, okay? There was none of this, well, developmentally, you haven't grown up yet, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff, right? And quite frankly, there's been a lot of people through the years. Jodie Foster was a movie star. She was, like, in the influencer realm back in the day. She ended up, I think, going to Princeton. Brooke Shields went to Princeton, I believe, or I think maybe Jodie Foster went to Yale or Harvard, and Brooke Shields, who was a young actress, she went to Princeton. A lot of these people have done great things and also stayed as influencers, celebrities, movie stars, right? So it's a poor excuse for me. Basically what it is saying is, I really like this person, so I'm going to make an excuse for them. So anyway, okay. So it goes into this question about Jeffree Star. They don't really shade Jeffree Star, I don't feel like. They kind of laugh about him. And it's very obvious to me in this moment that younger influencers really kind of think that Jeffree Star is a joke. Like, his time has come and he's gone, and like, he's just kind of a joke. Like, if you watch them, they're kind of like snickering and laughing to each other, and anyway, it's interesting to me, you know? I think, honestly, 3 or 4 years ago, had this come out in a video, I think Jeffree would respond, not to the video, but I think he would make some shady remark against James Charles, because I don't think that he would like being laughed at this. I'm just saying, okay? Oh, so then Amari says, actually, I'll tell you who I think needs to retire from YouTube, T-channels. And I was like, oh girl, she done brought it to my doorstep. She done brought it to my doorstep. And I had just tweeted to Zachary Michael, okay, because he was trying to get a little cute with me today. today, Zachary Michael that does Amberlynn Reed videos, he was trying to get cute on Twitter today, and so I tweeted him out a GIF, or a Jiffy, peanut butter. I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it a Giffy? Is it a Jiffy? I don't know. I don't care, okay? I'm not a millennial. So anyway, I tweeted him a GIF of Marlo Hampton for Real Housewives of Atlanta. I love her. Okay, looking at Portia and saying, you need to respect your elders. So, Amari, you need to respect your elders, of which all of the T channels are basically your elders. First of all, I thought it was kind of comical. And he was like, but my favorite channel, he goes, I do watch them sometimes, and my favorite channel is the Hollywood Fix or whatever, which is like, they're the ones that follow all of these, like, nobody influencers around and makes them somebody, right? Like, anyway, it's going to be real interesting to me what happens the day that the world realizes that all of these 20-year-old, 22, 23-year-olds have no more talent than doing these TikToks and all this kind of stuff, woo, and all this kind of stuff, that they wake up one day and they realize that they've just given millions and millions of dollars to these people that are literally talentless. Like, it's going to crack me up the day that the society figures that out. But until then, I guess we're trapped by the TikTok. So anyway, Amari, this video is for you. I've always thought that Amari was a really nice guy, but now that he wants to come for my gig, I guess I need to speak to this, okay? First of all, Amari, I wouldn't know who you were if you weren't friends with Tana Mongeau. And in fact, I don't think most people would know who you were if you weren't friends with Tana Mongeau and now friends with James Charles, which apparently you've been friends with for about 6 years. Which I think you got to be friends with James Charles around the same time that James Charles was friends with Tana Mongeau, because that was the time that I was covering Tana and James Charles together, okay? So I don't think anybody would know who Amari Stewart was if it wasn't for your connection to bigger people. So when you want to come on a video and say that we use stories about other people to build our own channels, girl, you've built your own career, okay, off the names of other people. So I don't really care to hear about that, quite frankly, okay? I don't get too bent out of shape about all this kind of stuff, but let's just call facts facts, all right? Back in the day, we called that collaborating with people, and it's how you built channels, and I think it's all right. Today, we call it clout chasing. You call it what you want, okay? I just know facts when I see facts, and I know that I wouldn't know who you were if Tana Mongeau hadn't thrown you up in those 3 o'clock in the morning Taco Bell videos that she used to do back in the day. She's too busy partying anymore, okay, that she can't even throw up a video on YouTube when that's what got her famous to begin with. But I digress, okay? So then he goes in there and he says, T channels take receipts or pictures. He says you take like something that somebody sent you and then you make up your own assumptions without knowing the truth. Well, you got us. I mean, yes, basically, you got us. That's what it is. And I don't know, Amari, if you go grocery shopping or if your YouTube career that was built by Tana Mongeau has afforded you the lifestyle that you can just Postmate all your groceries. But when you go to the grocery store, since about, I would say, I don't know, I was born in 1972, okay? Since about what I can remember, 1976, if you go to the grocery store, there's magazines when you're checking out. There's a place called the checkout lane, right? That's where they scan your food and then you pay for it at the end. I don't know if maybe you don't know what a grocery store is. I don't know. Okay, you just think the Postmate person brings it to you, but that's what you do. And when you're standing in those lines, sometimes for a very long time. Now, Jaclyn Hill, she likes to go grocery shopping. That's her favorite thing. But sometimes when you're standing in those lines for a very long period of time after you've had a long day, okay, you have nothing else to do but pick up these magazines. And in these magazines, what it is people that have taken pictures, those are called paparazzi, the Hollywood Fix, your favorite channel, the paparazzi taking pictures, and then writers speculating about the lives of the celebrities. Since you want to be a celebrity so bad, welcome to the world, okay? Let's just call it for what it is, and that was called a read, okay? So anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm watching this and I'm like, people want to come so hard for T channels all the time, like always say like, oh, we make these assumptions. If YouTubers, TikTokers, Instagram couture models, if y'all wanted to answer the questions that we all wanted to know, we wouldn't have to make assumptions about it, okay? If James Charles wanted to get in a video and talk about why he, Tati, and Jeffree and Shane are no longer friends, we wouldn't have to speculate. We could do commentary on the facts as they were, okay? If these people wanted to get out there, if Tana Mongeau wanted to make her 3 apology videos that she supposedly, allegedly was going to make, okay, for all of her horrific comments that she made of her past, which she never did, okay, that's your good Judy. If she wanted to come out and make those videos, we could do commentary on that, but she didn't do that, okay? So it's really about the Instagram influencers, which are today's celebrity. They are refusing to comment on the scandals that they get themselves into, therefore we have to speculate, okay? And that's what The View does, that's what Wendy Williams did, that's what E! News does, that's what everybody does out there, and that's why you are seen as somewhat of a celebrity or an influencer today, and people get interested in you, okay? And just a word to the wise of those out there, if nobody is talking to you, you know, Andy Warhol back in the day said, you know, like, what was it, like, you know, bad gossip is good gossip or whatever. You know, if somebody's talking about you, at least they're talking about you, and you got your 15 minutes of fame. Andy Warhol was the one that talked about all of that. If nobody's talking about you and James Charles isn't throwing you up in a video and you aren't seen in Tana Mojo's videos and she's not putting you in Instagram stories anymore, girl, ain't nobody gonna care about you, okay? So listen, be happy that a T channel called Peter Monn is talking about you today. But I've always thought that Amari, in all truth, I've always thought that you seemed very nice and very level-headed. I actually thought in like the whole Tana Mojo thing that you were a very supportive, strong friend to her. I thought, and I've said that in past videos. I will say it's confusing to me that Tana Mojo has come out so strongly, okay, against James Charles and unfollowed him on everything, and she don't want nothing to do about him, and she's talked publicly about him. And her good Judy Amari Stewart is in a video with James Charles and still remain friends with him. Okay, now I'm not saying that Amari has to pick a side and be friends with James and not Tana, or be friends with Tana and not James. I'm not saying that you have to do that, okay? I think getting older and being mature is being able to realize that you can be Switzerland a little bit. That being said, I do question any friend, okay, that stands behind James Charles without questioning the things of the past. I will say that, number one, and I've said it in a ton of videos. Number two, I will say what's interesting to me about this is the fact that, you know, like, that makes it a little bit awkward, doesn't it? At a birthday party at Cheesecake Factory? I'm just saying, okay? When you can invite 8 of your friends because it's all you can fit in a... Oh, I'm sorry, I don't live that life, okay? But when you can only fit 8 of your friends into a booth at Cheesecake Factory, do you invite Tana or do you invite James? Tell me how that works. Anyway. So the rest of this video goes on and they're doing shots and they finish this bottle. I'm like on a roll today, aren't I? Listen, I bowled a good game. Don't come for me on a day that I bowled a good game. Okay, so this is why they need to put me on the Real Housewives all day long. I was raised, okay, I came out at 18 years old on my 18th birthday. Okay, these kids do not know today what the rest of us had to deal with back in the day, okay? I came out into a rough world, and I was raised by drag queens here in Indianapolis. I'm so very thankful for them, okay? That did not give a SHI toot, and they would put you in your place, and they would read you for filth, and the next second they would be hugging you and loving on you, okay? And that's what we do sometimes. We tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, all right? But anyway, I'm watching this video and they're doing all these shots and they're getting drunker and drunker and drunker, and I just cannot like get out of my head how young they all look. And I'm thinking to myself next, I'm thinking, if this is how young they are, who's their audience, okay? And people have always speculated about the audience. So I actually Google searched James Charles, his audience, and there was an article that was put out about 2 or 3 years ago. And on the article, I will tell you who the article is by if I still have it up. Oh, I don't. Hold on, because I looked up Amari's thing. Hold on. Oh no, I looked up something else. So the article was put out about 2 or 3 years ago, and it was talking about like Gen Z and all this kind of stuff. And it said that 59% of James Charles' audience, 59%, okay, is 18 to 24. So if that's 59%, if that's 60%, what's the other 40%? Okay, I'm sure that like 20 of it is 24 to older, and I'm sure that 20% of it is 18 and younger, okay? So now you have, you know, this audience of, let's say, 60% plus 20, 80% that are 24 and younger, that you're making a video binge drinking to the point of where you can hardly hold your head up off of a table, and you think this is a cute look from James Charles, who back in the day said he didn't even drink, okay? And now they're talking about getting together with 2 people in one day and all this kind of stuff in a video. It's cringe, okay? And And I'm sitting there watching it, and now as somebody that follows addiction and recovery closely, as a person in recovery, you know, I'm thinking there's all these huge studies out there right now about binge drinking and how binge drinking is leading to alcoholism in younger people, and we're seeing younger and younger people who are becoming alcoholics quickly and quicker than we saw them 20 years ago because they're binge drinking, right? You know, we already know that most college-age young women, that they do not drink, like, they don't go out to a bar and drink like 8 or 9 drinks and get drunk. They do like 6 shots in a row and they get drunk, and then they might carry a beer for 2 hours or something. That's typically what we are seeing statistically in a lot of drinking, right? So I Google searched like what the average age of binge drinking is, and it's 18 to 34. It's this group, okay, including a little bit older, that James Charles is pandering to of his audience, right? And then it goes in here and talks about binge drinking is nearly twice as common and it is in men than it is in women and things like this. But those statistics are quickly changing, okay? And it's interesting to me that they choose to do this video where they're showing like all of this binge drinking, and they're even like kind of bragging at the end that they finished this bottle of Grey Goose and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this to me, if I was 15 years old or 16 years old, and I looked up to James Charles, and there's 3 of them, and they're having so much fun, and they're laughing, and blah, 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 whatever, and telling jokes, and they're doing one shot after another, that would look to me like something I wanted to do, okay? I already had the ism in me, but I can tell you, it's like, I've talked about this before in videos, like, I read Drew Barrymore's book way back in the day, Little Girl Lost. That book, when I already had the isms in me already, that of addiction and, you know, alcoholism, that book made me want to do those things that she talked about. Being in clubs, doing cocaine at 12 years old and 15 years old. That made me want to do those things, okay? And I think that with having this fantastic platform that you have been so graciously given, that has afforded you houses and luxury trips and luxury cars and being able to work when you want to and put out 1 video a week, don't you think you owe it? I'm just asking, like, I know people are going to be like, he doesn't owe it to anybody. No, he doesn't really at the end of the day, okay? But doesn't that bother you a little bit? Don't you think a little bit like, wow, like, all of these people that are younger that look up to me, I'm so thankful that there are people that watch my video on a daily basis. I'm so thankful for that, right? That you guys tune in here and you watch my videos on a daily basis. Does it never occur to any of these young people that literally like started posting pictures and collabing with the right people, and now they have, you know, millions of subscribers and followers, and they're making millions of dollars a year? Does it never occur to you that maybe there's somebody sitting out there that is greatly affected by what you're putting out there? I'm just asking, you know. I asked it with Tana Mojo back in the day. I'm going to ask it with James Charles today. And Amari and his friend Mario. Because I think it's a bad look. I really, really do, you know. Especially when we talk about the scary times of binge drinking on college campuses and with high school kids. High school kids binge drink all the time, you know. So it's really scary time. And then you're going to show that off in a video and basically make light of it. Oh, we're so drunk we can hardly hold our heads up and all this kind of stuff. I just don't understand it. I really don't, you know. And maybe that's me getting too serious. Maybe that's, you know, me being the old man of YouTube and taking things too harshly. But you know, if I had a kid that was watching these videos and I was sitting there watching it with them and they didn't have a lot of friends and they were looking up to James Charles and his friends, wishing that he had that lifestyle or she had that lifestyle, I would think to myself, I would be a little worried, you know? I would be a little worried. And that is as somebody that was watching movies when I was in high school that had a lot of drinking in them, you know, like St. Elmo's Fire. I would watch that in my bedroom and steal alcohol from my dad downstairs because I felt part of the movie. I'm not a big believer in peer pressure. I'm not. I believe that people can make their own choices, but at the end of the day, I do think some of us are influenced by things that are put out there. I really, really do. And I think this is a really poor look. And I think James Charles just doesn't really care about what he puts out there anymore at all, because I think James Charles wants to be perceived. I just did a video the other day where he's coming at a fan going, oh, you really thought you did something there? And James Charles is like, what do you think I did? You know, it's like, I think James Charles, I think he really wants to come across as this like bad ASS that doesn't give a F about anything anymore. Just remember how Jeffree Star ruined his career, okay? Just remember that. Your career's not already doing that great, okay? I think I would be very careful about what I was putting out there. And I think that this is the other thing. I think there's a way for James to kind of transcend this, you know, adolescent audience into an adult audience without having to get in a video and doing shots to the point of drunkenness. I think he's trying to show that he's an adult influencer now, but that's not necessarily the way. I mean, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are young adults, that are in their 20s, they're young adults, you know, that show lifestyle and show all that kind of stuff, that have millions of subscribers that aren't doing these things. This isn't the only way to show that you've grown up. And in fact, to me, it actually shows more of your immaturity than your maturity. So anyway, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Woo, this was a heated video. This was hot. It's getting hot in here. Anyway, I love you guys and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.